Welcome to the Construction Disruption Podcast, where we uncover the future of design, building, and remodeling.
I'm Todd Miller of Isaiah Industries, manufacturer of specialty metal roofing and other building materials. Today, my co-host is Ryan Bell. Mr. Bell, how are you today?
Hey, Todd. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well also. Doing great. So, as is sometimes our tradition, we start out with a little bit of lighthearted levity. Do you have any lighthearted levity for us here today, Ryan?
I have some dad jokes. Why did the adventurous explorer bring a ladder on their expedition?
I don't know. Not a clue.
Because they wanted to take their exploration to new heights.
New heights. Now that's good. I'll give that like a 7 or 8. That's good.
Did you hear about the restaurant on the moon?
No, I have not heard about the restaurant on the moon. Tell me about it, Ryan.
Great food, no atmosphere.
Okay, I like that one better.
Yeah, I do too. Compliments of Chat GPT.
Awesome. Man, Chat GPT can come in handy sometimes. Well, shall we be off to the races here?
Let's get started.
Well, today our spotlighted guest is Michael Fortinberry, based in New York City. Michael is Senior Vice President of Perennial Construction Solutions, one of the nation's largest multifamily turnover and renovation companies. Out of that, then, in 2021, he co-founded PROTIV. That's PROTIV, for those of you who are out there Googling, an online workers incentive program that directly links your project budgets to team incentives, offering a performance-based alternative to the old style of just hourly pay. One of the things I should mention too, before I bring Michael on, we are doing challenge words once again this episode. So listen for any funny words we may work into the conversation, and you'll know maybe it was our challenge word we had to use. And at the end, we'll talk about those and whether we were successful. So, Michael, welcome to Construction Disruption. It's a real pleasure to have you today as our guest.
Oh, super excited to be here. Appreciate y'all having me on the show, and look forward to talking a little bit about what we've built here and our approach to company culture within our industry.
Well, I'm excited to hear more because, we see a lot of folks doing a lot of things out there with apps and tech and things, and I have never seen anything like what you guys are doing. So I'm really anxious to learn more. But let's kind of start a little bit before of the development of PROTIV. You've been with Perennial Construction Solutions since 2019. Can you tell us a little bit about Perennial and its scope of work and what it does?
Yeah, Perennial was started, there was a group of us that had already been doing some multifamily work. That was my background prior. And we had an opportunity to start doing some large-scale multifamily renovation work in New York City, which is, frankly, it's pretty straightforward construction business, but it's a really complex logistical business.
Oh, I bet.
There are only so many companies that can do it at scale. It's one thing if you're going to go renovate or turn over 20 apartments, over a month or something. What if you're going to do 20 in 1 week or 50 in 1 week? You've got to have 50 starts with 50 crews, 50 sets of materials delivered into specific units. And sometimes you have 3 days, and sometimes you've got 2 weeks. Depends on scope. That complexity we found was an opportunity. And Perennial was really built specifically to go after that market, large-scale renovation work in the city.
Okay, so I'm curious. Are these usually your properties or properties you're doing, you're renovating for other owners, or is it kind of a mix?
Well, one of our clients early on, the property was sold for $5.5 billion. So I wish.
Oh my goodness!
So. Yeah, not mine. No, we do this for owners of large properties in New York. Some of our clients have 10,000 apartments in one location.
Wow.
Yeah, for perspective, we also do a lot of NYCHA, which is the public housing renovation work.
Okay, gotcha.
So, which is prevailing wage work. It's a little bit different. But we really like that work. It's been good for us as a company, and kind of expanding into that space a bit is they're putting a lot more money into renovating public housing it needed it, frankly.
Yeah, I mean, it is surprising how much money I'm seeing going into what I call infrastructure type projects like that.
You know what's great is that what they came up with was a good public-private partnership. A lot of times I think you think about public housing, you think about our tax dollar just getting dumped through an inefficient process into this black hole of public housing. This was a lot more creative. They've started these 100-year partnership deals with private management companies, basically give them the keys to the property, let them manage the renovation work, then manage the leasing process, let the revenue flow through those entities, some tax breaks associated with it, in a public-private opportunity that we believe is going to be very successful and probably repeated in other markets where they have large-scale public housing.
Wow, that does make a lot of sense. It kind of gives folks some incentive to make these projects work also.
My favorite word, incentive. I love it.
Yeah, we're going to talk more about that. That's right.
We are.
So I understand that Perennial kind of has, it was designed and has a reputation for being sort of a different kind of contractor. And one of those differences I understand, and this is pretty different, is you have your own software development team. What are some of the ways that you see Perennial standing above other contractors doing, similar types of work?
The funny thing is we have that. And I think if we had to do it over again, we would do our best to not have that.
Oh, really? Wow.
Oh my gosh. It's a challenge. And it's funny because I even knew how hard this was going to be. I think we knew how hard this would be going into it. And yet we stumbled down the road anyway. What was interesting is we had a unique type of construction that our jobs were too big to be a work ticket and too small to be, on Procore. Right? Okay. We had these mid-sized jobs that didn't really fit some of the platforms that were out there for management. So we started building some tools just to manage our own stuff, that wasn't really in the market. We grew quite a bit. We put 130 people in the field there, in the summers. And so as we grew, we needed just better systems to manage that. And so, we ended up stumbling down the road of software development by necessity in some ways.
Sounds kind of adventurous, though.
It was a bit adventurous. I'll give you that.
Well, I'm kind of curious. What were some of the particular challenges you saw with employee compensation, and perhaps many of our listeners have also experienced some of those challenges. What were some of those?
I can pretty much guarantee you that every one of your listeners who has hourly workers in the field understands this problem. Hourly pay is structurally an inefficient model. I get why we pivoted towards that 125 years ago, but it creates a dynamic of conflict between management and the workers because the model is not built on teamwork, communication, productivity, quality, safety. None of those are in the formula. It's just time. Mm-hmm. The formula on time, and time is not our friend in construction, right? We need to get off these job sites. We always wonder, why does that last 5% of the job take 20% of the time? Why is Bob taking so long at Home Depot? Why do two of them need to go to Home Depot? Right? It's all these little examples, and I guarantee you, everybody listening has got 100 examples of that. And it's not that our crews are lazy; it's they're not incentivized correctly. Yelling at them and saying "hurry up" is not as effective as we like to pretend it is. So we were looking for ways to get people to be motivated. We get some cold winters here, you can imagine, right? We're out there, and I've got to get a crew to get out there in the cold and get over to this apartment and get a new floor put in or whatever. We got icicles hanging off the buildings, look like giant popsicles. We've got all this effort into what it takes to get logistically all the materials there. And if they're not motivated to push through that and be productive, it's a thing. And how do I get them to want to do that on their own? It's not just me asking them to or telling them to. It's they got internally want to do well, communicate, work as a team, be productive, do the job right the first time. And you guys probably heard this, right? Bob comes in your office. You guys probably have Bob, and he says, "Hey, boss, can I get a raise? Baby needs shoes, whatever." And
right.
The reality is, the only thing that's actually going through my head is, okay, I want to give Bob a raise, but the only thing that changes is my costs go up. Nothing else changes in my business. My
Right.
costs go up. I don't make any more money. I make less money now. I don't get any more done.
Folks don't understand, well, what extra do I get for that extra I pay you?
Exactly. So we set about tackling those two things. I need them to care on one side. I need them to teamwork, communication, because they want to. And on the other side, they want to make more money. How do I get those two things together? And that was what PROTIV was born from.
That makes a lot of sense. And you had a good word in there too. You got to have them to care. And sometimes that thing of just browbeating folks to work faster means quality goes down.
Yeah, it's not speed. It's the combination of do it right the first time and be productive, good teamwork. We find that the secret for most of these crews to finishing the jobs on schedule is teamwork, the way they communicate with each other. Eliminating rework because they do it right the first time is arguably the most that if we just didn't do anything else as a company but just eliminated rework, my profits would jump, right? I mean,
Sure.
Rework kills us. The minute I have to go back, I'm probably breaking even. If I have to go back twice, I probably lost money. I need the crew to want to do it right. How do I get them to care?
Well, you've touched on a number of things there as far as challenges that you can solve for companies by addressing this issue. Any other challenges? I'm kind of curious, how does addressing this issue even affect company culture?
It is all company culture. It's so fun. That is actually our word, right? It is incentives become woven into your company culture. We are convinced at this point, having done this for a few years now and worked with a lot of different kinds of companies, that if you lean into performance pay as central to your company culture, getting everybody on the same team working towards success, that's the secret. The software we've built is actually pretty straightforward. It's complicated behind the scenes, but the way it operates is very simple. The hard part is the culture side. How do I want to know that my team is frustrated with the procurement team because the materials aren't there on time. I want them to know that the estimator can't tell a meter from a foot when they're measuring, right? I need to know this so that I can get better. Right now, they don't really care. They kind of care, but not really. So if the stone isn't delivered or the paint's not there or the conduit doesn't show up, they're like, whatever, I'll wait. I'm happy to wait. It's easier. The minute that the labor budget becomes their money, all of a sudden they're on the phone with saying, boss, what are you doing? You got to get our materials here. You're costing us money. That is a culture shift because now everybody's pulling for success. That's what we push for here at PROTIV.
I'm kind of curious as you sort of develop, PROTIV and developed it for your own company. Did you immediately think, hey, we're on to something that would benefit other companies as well? Or did that kind of come later on?
It actually happened pretty fast. Mm-hmm. And we had probably had about 2 years of stumbling through how to make it work with tech. There was a couple of aha moments. One is that we had to simplify the equation so that it was easy for the workers to understand exactly how much they were going to make based on how they performed. If it was a black hole, like if they didn't really see it, then they didn't believe in it. They didn't change behavior. So we started texting them every day, the budget, what they had used, what they had left, so they could see the differences, what they got to keep. That simple thing, all of a sudden their brains came on. It's a great thing when you hire someone to, let's say you're going to put on a roof and I'm going to hire you to put shingles on or whatever. And I'm paying you for that task, that your back, right? To put on shingles. You got your hammer and you're putting on shingles all day, whatever. You don't really do it that way anymore, but whatever. So the reality is you actually get free. It's like a gift with purchase, a free brain. It comes with the back. And we don't use it. We don't ask them to use it. We don't take advantage of this free gift that we got with every employee. Now, some of them are better than others. I give you that. But there is an opportunity to unlock more from our people to get them to bring their brain to work and to think about how can we work better. And that when we saw the behavior change, when they could see I'm going to make more money on Friday because of how I work on Tuesday, all of a sudden they brought their brain to work.
Man, I love that. I'm kind of like, bingo, you hit it on the head as far as realizing that, hey, these workers have a brain too, and let's figure out how to use it and not just be using their backs. So can you go into a little bit more in-depth dive on, exactly what the platform software does and how companies use it? I mean, what this means to them from a very practical standpoint?
Yeah, the software itself always starts with a labor budget. We integrate to your ERP, CRM systems, wherever your labor budget lives. Pull in your labor budget, dollars, hours. How long did you think you were going to spend? How many dollars do you think you're going to spend on labor to do that task? It could be mowing Mrs. Smith's grass or putting in 300 miles of highway. I don't care. The other side is I pull your actual time off of your time tracking. So we integrate to time tracking systems so that we know that Bob clocked 27 and a half hours this week on that cost code, on that project, on that job, or 5 minutes or whatever it was. So, but those two pieces of information, I have budget and I have actual. Once I have those two pieces of information, I've got a platform on which I can measure. So the software pulls the one, pulls the other, and then we show the workers right on their phone those numbers so they can see it and they can set goals as a team. So they can see it. They can say we've got 200 hours to do this work. If we get it done in 180, how much is our team bonus? The crew leader can talk about it. The workers can see they're part of it. As the job progresses, we're tracking actual. So I know that this is how you're doing against the goal you set. They can see those numbers. They can talk about how we're doing. What do we need to do different? How are we progressing towards what we thought we could earn? And at that point, we finished the job up. If the job was done ahead of schedule and the job is done correctly, if they have to go back and fix it, customer's not happy, whatever, the team loses on the bonus. The reason it's a team bonus is that we want them to hold each other accountable to doing it right. Hey, Bob, you got to do that right, or you're going to cost me my bonus because we're going to have to come fix it. I actually have a carpenter on video saying the quiet part out loud, his name's Frank. And he literally said that his approach to quality changed when he went on ProPay. That's what we call a job, because it cost me too much money to go back. And I was like, hallelujah, Frank, that welcome to my side of the table. I want Frank to want to hang that door straight because it's going to cost him money if he doesn't. And that's like this hallelujah moment where they get it. And it's such a transformational thing when you can push into that concept.
I remember years ago, I heard someone ask a worker, well, about how long do you think this is going to take you to do? And their response was literally, well, that depends. Is it my time or your time? And so, yeah, light bulbs go off.
They don't care. I hate to break it to everybody listening, but your workers don't care about your money.
Right.
I mean, they care about their own money and they're somewhat accountable to their peers, which is an interesting dynamic here. So if you can get them to collectively view the labor budget as their money, they will treat it differently.
Does this require a lot on the workers' part, inputting time and stuff like that? Or
it's all pulled, it's all digital.
That's what I figured, yeah.
Yeah, we technically work with some companies that don't have digital time tracking, but that's rare. Most everybody now has Busy or ClockShark or T-Sheets or one of these time tracking, the systems in Jobber and Buildertrend, et cetera. So they have some type of time tracking process and frankly, if you don't, you should, because it's better for your job costing. There's all kinds of value propositions associated with accurate time tracking and legal reasons, frankly. Here's the other part. A lot of people have tried this. A lot of people have a spreadsheet. A lot of your listeners probably have a spreadsheet somewhere that they tried performance pay and they tried to use Excel just to track, all right, Bob, I gave him 10 hours. He did it in 7. I'm going to pay him the difference. Excel will just break in real life. It doesn't, the level of calculation, you really have to do this because different people work different numbers of hours. You have people with different wage rates. There's all kinds of complexities to real life construction that Excel, it just becomes an administrative burden. And the calculations for OT, what's called OT differential, which is a Department of Labor, Fair Labor Standards Act set of rules, especially when you're in states like California and New York, need to be done correctly, or you're going to get sued. So the software makes that easy to do. It's just settings. And then, so I've run into people all the time that have piecework structures in place today. I'm paying them 7% or 20% of the job value, or I pay them X amount per square in the roofing industry. Most likely, the minute they work 1 minute of overtime, you're afoul of the rules. That doesn't mean you're going to get sued tomorrow, but the minute you've got enough employees, some class action lawyer is going to find one of your disgruntled employees, and you're in trouble. And it's not just the OT differential amount they come after, it's the fines and penalties. So it's and we can solve it for people who, like, if that's what they do today, I can help you get compliant in one day.
I'm curious, have most of your users so far for PROTIV been in the construction industry, or have you seen any other industries that are very hourly based that have adopted it?
So construction, landscaping, and cleaning kind of where we started with all of this, but we have a pilot program kicking off with a manufacturing company right now that has 18 locations where they manufacture some materials. And we're curious where that's going to go. It's more of a unit-based objective. How many units is my goal for my shift, for my team on this shift, and what can we actually output? So it's just a little different, but it's the same basic problem, right? I have hourly workers. I need them to be aligned, with company KPIs and targets. And sometimes those KPIs are more safety or quality oriented or something like that. And sometimes those KPIs are different. But whatever they are, this becomes part of the equation of how incentives get paid. And what gets incentivized gets done.
That's a good point.
And there's like so many quotes on that. I have a bunch of quotes I often give from different kind of famous people who talk about the power of incentives. One guy talked about all of economics can be summed up in, the 4 words that humans respond to incentives. Like, that's it. That's economics in 4 words. Like,
right.
You can have your degree back. It's a powerful, powerful thing to get, once you got it in your head, it's where we can go. If you weave it into the company culture and get people understanding that we're doing this together, this job is what we're doing together. I've got to estimate it right. I've got to procure the materials right. We're going to get our permits squared away, whatever, all those things. And the weather's got to cooperate, and this and this and this. Bob's got to do a good job. You guys have to execute the project well. And then if all that goes well, we all make more money. If any part of that breaks down, then we have a chance to make less. If you're the owner, you can go below zero, right? At least the workers, we give them a floor, right? So if you make $25 an hour, you don't make less than $25 an hour. As the owner, I don't have a bottom, right? That number can go to zero and then go below that, right? So
right, yep.
Everybody out there is probably familiar with jobs that look like that. And that's where, we protect the employees, the downside to the employee, but give them a chance to earn more.
Yeah, I love it. Well, you talked about Frank and his comment. Any other comments that you can think of as far as either from managers, owners of companies, or from the hourly based workers after implementing PROTIV?
Yeah, the workers are the ones you get the most enjoyable feedback from. Management comes back and they talk about, our gross profit went up 7%, or our labor costs came down 3%, whatever. Fine, those are fun. There's nice quotes in a marketing brochure, I guess. But the employees who talk about how they're ahead of inflation, they're like, inflation was killing us, and I feel like we're back ahead of the game now, boss. And because they get it, right? They understand the impact on their family when they start to earn more money. I've had owners tell me that if they tried to take ProPay away from their workers, they would lose everybody. Like the guys love it. Like they get into it, and because it becomes theirs. And when it's theirs, they care about it more. Your recruiting and retention. We get a lot of companies talk about how that really is key. Right now, I'm recruiting people by saying we have an incentive comp system here where you can, make more money if you perform well. You got to think about it, right? Bob comes in your office. He's like, I'm the greatest carpenter ever, and you should pay me X. And you're like, oh, well, we're going to find out, Bob, because we've got an incentive pay system here, and our best carpenters make a lot of money. Our best concrete guys, they make a lot of money because they're good at what they do. They work well as a team, and they bring jobs in ahead of schedule. They do the job right. They stay safe, etc. That's how you recruit. And we've done that in our own company. We find our clients often sharing that back to us. Then on the other side, who's going to leave when you're making our average worker right now in our system is making over 10% more in base wage than they were making before. That's average. Some are doing even better. You're going to find if you've got 30 people in the field, I guarantee you there's going to be 8 of them on your team that are going to think this is the greatest thing ever invented by man. They're just going to lose their mind. They're going to be so happy with this. You're going to have about 20 that are going to be like, okay, whatever. You're going to have 2 or 3 that are going to hate it because it shines a spotlight on the fact they're lazy.
Yeah.
Right. And so get rid of those 3 and you will get more done with the remaining 27 than you ever did with those 30 because they all are going to care more. So we're finding companies can control their labor costs, get rid of a little bit of that group they don't need. They want to get rid of, they just can't right now because they can't find people, right? We've all got that challenge. You can't find good skilled labor is harder and harder to come by. It's one reason you guys started this podcast. How do we get more people, interested in the industry? And one of the ways we believe that's going to happen is let's use some technology. Let's show them how they can make more money doing this.
It's funny, right as you led into that, talking about the impact on recruitment and retention, that's exactly what was going through my head, this would be a huge tool for recruiting workers. So good stuff. I'm just kind of curious, you guys probably have a crystal ball. I mean, is there anything else that you think at some point PROTIV as a company might be able to address to help contractors?
So we are, I actually love that. We are pushing our solution to be worker-centric. What we realized that we cared about as we were building this, we found we cared about how did the worker be successful? They're the key. Their worker it's the commodity that's in short supply. We don't have enough of them. We need to, and they're the ones who do the work that we actually get paid for. What we do is sell their effort. And so we've got a process now where we can lean into them and reward them for helping us. So what else could we do to help them? And that goes to, we see it through communication tools, community tools, education platforms, safety training, et cetera, weaving a lot of that into our system, probably through partnerships in many cases. We're launching a chat platform built into our system next 2 weeks from now, I think it's coming out, where the ownership and management can easily communicate about project performance and project progress right to the worker level. Shocking to me how many owners tell us that they don't have a great way of just talking between the management team and the worker. I can talk to my VP of operations or I can talk to my supervisor maybe, but to talk to my workers, to get them information or feedback is a bit of a multi-level process today for a lot of owners, a lot of management. And that's we need a more direct line in some cases. I kind of want to know what Bob thinks. If Bob thinks we've got a problem, I would like to know. Whether he's right or not wrong isn't even the issue. It's just I just want to know. I can do something when I have information. So communication, but it's all the idea of how do I get the workers empowered? There's a lot of systems being built for management to get better numbers, your accounting under control, your financials, your sales and marketing, get more customers. Okay, well, let's build a tool and a platform for the workers and help them.
Oh, I love it. Now, I see a lot of platforms too that talk a lot about communication to the customer, to the client. But,
of course,
man, you got to address that internally first, or along at the same time. That's good stuff.
It's very important, right? And of course, you need to talk to your customers. Of course, you need to talk, numbers. You need to know your finances. You need to have if you don't have your numbers under control. In fact, if you don't know your numbers, if you don't have good cost controls, job costing, et cetera, I actually would recommend you don't implement our system yet. You need to go solve that first.
Okay, sure.
Because if you don't know what your labor budget is, Yeah, just
Yeah,
go. You need to solve for that, my friend.
right.
That's go get that right. That's foundational to running a construction company at scale. And we find the bigger companies we work with are even more maniacal about their numbers. If you want to know a picture into what the big companies do different than the small ones, it's their fanaticism around the numbers. Like they don't guess.
We see the same thing even in the residential roofing industry. Those contractors who are leading their markets are the ones who know their numbers extremely well. Yep. So I'm kind of curious. We think a lot of our audience members out there for Construction Disruption are younger folks newer to the construction industry. You've been in construction a while and have seen a lot. Any words of advice for folks who might be just getting started with a career in this industry?
Answer your phone. Number one, contractors frequently don't answer the phone and don't. I see this all the time. Small companies, because it's hectic, and frankly, you're probably at the job site and you're wondering why the paint hasn't been delivered or whatever. You got to answer the phone. Your customer's calling, and when you talk to a customer, the faster you engage with that customer, the more likely you are going to sell. That is just number one. It's the most foundational thing. If you don't answer your phone and say something nice, like engage. Mrs. Smith is calling you and she wants a new roof. Answer the phone and talk nicely to Mrs. Smith, because she's going to call 5 people and the other 4 are going to be grumpy. And they're not going to answer the phone, and you're going to be nice. You're going to answer the phone. And you're going to absolutely, Miss Smith, I'm happy to come over there. It's Saturday at 3 a.m. and give you a quote on your 800 square foot roof, that you've got a $500 budget for. Of course I will. Whatever. It's just answer the phone, engage with your customers in a positive way. It's a big deal. Treat your people really well, because your people actually take care of your product. That's who delivers your product. Your product is what serves your customer. Your customer is what serves your revenue. So if you think your job is to take care of your customer, you're missing the step, because you don't actually, as the owner, take care of your customer. Your people do. They're the ones who install the roof. The roof is what makes your customer happy. Your customer is who pays you. So there's a bunch of steps in there that you're missing if you're going from yourself all the way to your customer. Oh, I'm customer centric. You should be people. You should be employee centric. Teach your employees to care about your customer.
That's amazing advice. There's a lot in that. Thank you. Well, Michael, this has been a great time together. You are a great guest, and this has been very informative. Loved learning more about PROTIV. We're close to wrapping up what we call the business end of things. Anything we haven't covered that you wanted to be sure to share with our audience?
Oh, I'm very excited about our industry as a whole right now. I think we have labor challenges facing us, but the demand side of our business, if you just forecast it out through the 2030s, is so great. It is just a wonderful place to be building a career from. Given what I think you get as an ROI in your college education, kind of loving this space for people to come into right now. You come out of high school right now, and if you were to go to plumbing school and get your license, or start up a landscaping company and bring your brain to work every day, your chance of retiring at the age of 38 are really high. If you want, if that's what you want. It's a place where you can be immensely successful, right? And you know what? And go get yourself a new F-250 King Ranch, and you just honestly, you can live. It's a cool life being in the trades, right? You got your job site, you got your Carhartt on, and it's a thing, right? It's something to be proud of. It's a culture around this that I love, and I really would encourage folks to, consider this an opportunity to step into something where the sky's the limit, and you can build it as big as you want to build it. Talked to a guy not long ago that started his landscaping company, mower and 2 friends, and now he does $80 million a year. And I was like, you know what? That's legit, man. That is just because he brought his brain to work every day, and he grew and grew and built and thought and learned, got out to the conferences and learned from his peers and networked and invested of himself into it. Now he's got private equity firms banging down his door trying to write him gigantic checks.
Wow.
For his landscaping company, he started with a mower and a couple of friends. I mean, gotta love that. God bless America.
Absolutely. And great words of advice there. And you and I were talking about it before the show, too, the importance of going to conferences, being a continual learner, being curious, and taking your brain to work. I love it. Good stuff. Well, we're about to ask you if you are willing to participate in something we call our rapid fire questions. So these are 7 questions. Some may be a little silly, some may be a little more serious. All you got to do is give an answer, and it's just something fun that we like to close out shows with. Are you willing to do this?
I'm ready. Let's see what we got.
Awesome. Let's do it. Hey, by the way, I'll give a shout out. I did let Chat GPT write these questions, so we'll see what they got. Ryan, you want to start with the first one?
I would love to. Question number 1. If you could instantly become an expert in any subject, what would it be?
Quantum physics.
That sounds impressive.
I want to know how the universe works.
Good stuff. Okay, next question. Are you a coffee or a tea person, or maybe neither? And if you are a coffee or tea person, how do you drink it?
Coffee, it's black. It's when my dad drank it. I'd sneak it out of his cup, and so, yeah, still coffee today.
I hear you. I drink black coffee too. I'm too lazy to put anything into it, so we just do it.
So keep it simple. All right. Question number 3. You have a choice on this one. What is the best or the worst piece of advice you've ever been given?
Best advice, it's a really simplistic thing. And it's this idea of never quit. And I actually used to have this rock. I've still got it somewhere. It's not in my office now. I literally just said on it, never quit. And because if you never quit, eventually you can win, right? It may be hard. You may stumble. It may, get backwards at times. But if you just, the perseverance of that idea is the battle, because none of this is easy. Starting the software company up, wow, we've been on the brink of not making it already. And it's just, and then you make it, right? And it's just, you're further and you survive a bit longer. And it's really hard. Sometimes life's just hard and you got to keep going. So just don't quit, keep going, persevere. Perseverance is powerful.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. I was thinking last night, sometimes I think all of us in our careers or our lives can start to get a little, oh, woe is me. I have so many challenges and so much I face. And I was thinking last night, everyone does. No one's any different than anyone else. And really the best thing any of us can do is, hey, maybe make that journey a little easier for somebody else along the way.
Reframe it, dive into it, own it, go get it, just persevere through it.
Okay, next question. This one's a simple, easy one. If you were a superhero, what color would your cape be?
Let's just go with gray, I think.
Gray.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure how good a superhero I'd be. I'd probably be in the middle. Because there's some fun stuff I'd like to do if I was a superhero that might not actually go to the whole superhero, the hero part, because some stuff would just be fun to do.
So you're kind of a under the radar superhero, just kind
of. Yeah. And I definitely want to have a mask. So I want to be able to walk around like normal people. Fame would be not so good.
What would your superpower be then?
What's the best superpower? I'm thinking, this is where you can move stuff with your mind. I always thought that would be pretty good. Doors just open as I walk up. Someone actually said, one thing I read one time was, or heard it somewhere. Someone said that their superpower would be to have theme music around them at all times. And I thought that was great. I was like, that's a cool superpower. Like everywhere you go, the appropriate theme music is playing around you. So, all right, that was strong. That was a fun one.
That's cool.
Good stuff.
Okay, next question. Is there a movie you could watch over and over again? If so, what is it?
Yeah, I've seen Sicario quite a few times. That's for sure.
Great movie.
Tombstone too. Going back a little further. It's like, Tombstone's pretty legit. I can quote most of it at this point. It annoys my wife.
Okay, good answer. Well, this next question is a little more serious. What would you like to be remembered for at the end of your days?
I took my 4-year-old granddaughter to Disney World last weekend. Yeah, I'll take that. I don't like Disney World. I had the best time
Neat.
because it's her, and it's like, and that was just great. We had such a great time. Just everything through her eyes is magical, and if I can leave her with that, the joy and an opportunity in life to do the things she wants to do, winning across the board. All the rest of the stuff is just stuff.
Love it. Good stuff.
Final question. Have you purchased a product or service recently that was kind of a real game changer for you?
I like my new microphone. That's not the right one, though. This one I got here because my audio was always a little sketchy before. I had to wear the little ear ones, and I like the microphone. I think that's been good, but that's not a good answer, though. That's a terrible answer, actually.
That's a good answer.
So what's been a good product or something I bought recently? I don't know. I feel stumped on that one.
I think your answer is legit. And
yeah,
counts.
Absolutely.
Because I like, have the little thing dangling out of my ear. It's kind of annoying. And I was doing more of the podcast stuff, and I was like, all right, I should get a microphone, talk to a few people who do podcasts, and they recommended this one now. So I trying to improve my audio. I'm a soft-spoken guy, so I don't have to, yell at the screen anymore for people to hear me.
Good audio is very important.
Yeah, Ryan kind of lives for good audio.
I think the other game changer is when I bought my wife's engagement ring and we got married. That was pretty much a game-changing product purchase too.
That would be. Absolutely.
She's a rock star.
Well, Michael, this has been great. Thank you so much for being on the show. You've been a great guest, and I'm anxious to get this out in front of our audience and let more folks know about PROTIV. So for folks who would want to get in touch with you or to learn more about PROTIV, how might they do that? And we'll put this in the show notes as well.
Oh, sure. PROTIV.com, PROTIV.com. Obviously, our website's great. It's Michael@PROTIV.com. If anybody wants to email me and just, say hey or learn more about what we do, I'm happy to show folks our system, see if it can be of service to people, or just even they just want to hear about how do we implement performance pay, whether you use our system or want to try and do something different. I like talking about it. So happy to talk to folks. We're on LinkedIn and all those, Insta Talk and all that, I think too, but not really a social media guy, but it's out there.
Well, very good. And what I think is really cool about what you do, you've not only developed the software, but you're also a user of it. And a lot of folks who develop software aren't really using it also. And so I think that's very cool. Well, thank you.
Grateful. Thank you very much for having me on, and enjoyed it very much. It was a great conversation.
It was. And thank you to our audience for tuning in to this episode. I think we were all successful with our challenge words. Michael, I know your challenge word was popsicle. Yeah, you worked it in.
I had to work that in. It took me a minute.
You did well. Ryan, you got yours in, didn't you?
I did, right at the beginning. I snuck it into the dad joke.
And then later I stole it and I used it also. That was just an old man brain fart. Got confused. But I also worked in my challenge word, which was bingo. And your word was adventurous, Ryan, right?
Yes, correct.
Cool. Well, thank you all so much for tuning into this very special episode of Construction Disruption with Michael Fortinberry of Perennial Construction Solutions and also of PROTIV. Please watch for future episodes of our podcast. We always have great guests. Don't forget to leave a review for us, please. And until the next time we're together, keep on disrupting and challenging the status quo, looking for better ways to do things. Be curious, too. And most importantly, don't forget to have a positive impact on everyone you encounter. Make them smile, encourage them, bless them in some way. Powerful things we can all do. So take care. God bless. And this is Isaiah Industries signing off. Until the next episode of Construction Disruption.
This podcast is produced by Isaiah Industries, manufacturer of specialty metal roofing and other building products.